Sometimes we can get so caught up in a person's or organizational's image that we close our eyes to the truth that is before us. And it was through my personal experience with pain as a child that I realized that a title does not guarantee that that person will respect you, does not guarantee that person will not project their pain on you. And when you look at teachers, you look at coaches, um, mothers, fathers, parents, sister, brothers, aunt, uncles, we look at all those, and we're still dealing with a lot of abuse, neglect, um, bullying type behavior. And even to this day, I can honestly tell you that it still shocks me when I hear of certain things. My son, when he tells me that a teacher said that you should be ashamed of yourself, and then, he's now in another school, and the teachers are praising them and telling them to love themselves. And, it's okay, to not have everything right. It's okay to, what I say, not mistakes, but learn from life. When you have a parent that says, I wish you were never born, we often will take that pain and will internalize it. And through our communication system with our body, through our nervous system, that message gets um, transferred to every cell in our body. And then we wonder about our aches and our pains, and we wonder about our self-worth and why we think we're so unworthy and how come we can't achieve the goals that we set forth. And it's often because of the internal messages that we have taken in, often replacing, covering up the truth, because the truth is still part of us. The truth, I believe, lies within our hearts and minds, just like the Bible tells us. God put his truth in our hearts and mind. It's through these experiences that we tend to cover, our perception, not just the experience, I'm sorry, our perception of these experiences, that we end up covering up this truth that is within us. And we have to remember that everyone is on a learning journey. Everyone is on a healing journey. Everyone is on an earthly journey that has a specific curriculum, a specific role, antagonists as well as protagonists. When you think about protagonists, those that are for you, help enable you to achieve your goals, your mission, and those protagonists that they help you in a different way. They help you in more of um, often challenging, who you believe you are. Just if you think about Satan and how he was there and says, well, if you are this person, then you will jump. If you are this person, then you will turn all of this into food, etc. And, Jesus knew who he was, and he knew he did not have to boast about who he was. He did not have to show who he was in ways that people want us to show. And so it's about us realizing, and Jesus put it that, in the Bible it says that God sees the heart of men. He doesn't look at the outside. And often we'll look at the outside, and I've discussed about that, their outside characteristics, their skin color, their eyes, their demographics, their culture, how they eat, how they walk, how they talk, how they speak. We look at all that stuff and we get entangled with all of these experiences, and we become lost, lost spirits that need to find our way back to our truths. And so often, and even in myself, when I speak about image, or how someone looks or how they're perceived to be by a community, by a family, that is often why we stay silent. I think about when I was a child and how I struggled with believing that someone would do that like that, and my responsibility in telling on them and holding them accountable to their actions, because I feel like, as a child, we shouldn't have to do that. But we have to see ourselves as more than just children. We have to see ourselves as the holders of truth, as the expression or reflection of truth. And just even with this day forward, seeing my children, in their school environment, and how the school is perceived to be this great place. And yet there were a lot of issues with it: bullying, not listening, not paying attention, not addressing it immediately. There was a lot of, it seemed like, denial at first. And I think something happened to wake them up to say, no, this is an issue, because it almost seemed like it was just my son that was experiencing it. And I don't say it out of mean. I say it out of giving an example that, we have to listen to ourselves. We have to listen to that gut feeling within us. We have to listen to our children when they speak about things. And, my children they had been exposed to a system that, they were experiencing bullying, etc. And there wasn't a whole lot of praise given. And then they got into a system where there were ample amounts of praises, ample amount of communication, and, just really addressing negative behaviors. My mom would say, nip it in the bud. And to a system that wasn't doing that. So they knew deep down that this isn't how education is supposed to be. This isn't how school is supposed to be. And I think, that comes from me as a child, when I knew that when people were projecting their pain on me, this isn't how life is supposed to be. Often we get comfortable, and we not only subject ourselves to ill treatment, but also, we tend to do it to our children and to the next generation. And what is that? That is continuing the cycle of pain. And it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of determination. It takes being spiritually awakened in the spirit to know what is right and what is not right. And as divine spirits, we are to uphold what is right, and we are to dismantle what is not right. Because through that, we free others. We help others to have this spiritual awakening that, that's a good point. I experienced it, and now my child experienced it. So I need to wake up and I need to do something about it. I need to speak up. And I know, often, we experience things and we don't say anything, but we'll take our children out of school, we'll leave a job or what have you. But I think it's when we really listen and we voice our concerns, when we speak up and say, this is not going to be tolerated. And that's how we shine our light. And so, when we think about the generational cycle of pain, when we think about, violence, we think about bullying, we think about prejudice, we think about, greed and uh, domination over people instead of earthly, the earth and our mindset and mastering ourselves. When we think about that, it boils down to that principle of, or to that concept about image. Just because someone is seen this way, someone holds this title, does not give them the right to disrespect you, does not give them the right to bully you in any form, to neglect you, to abuse you. And it does not give us the right to do that too as well. And so when we look at image, we have to remain open. We have to keep our hearts open. We have to keep our ears open. And when I say our hearts, I mean really listening. You hear a lot about, listening, making sure that you are looking at the person, that, nod versus not nod. But listening, as I've written in one of my manuscripts, is about opening ourselves to divine intelligence. And it's through the heart, through a pure heart, that we're able to really hear and understand someone and really draw on this infinite intelligence as to the right words and the right actions to speak. That we encourage people to speak. We encourage communication. We follow up when something isn't right as a parent with our children, as ourselves, and when we become more enlightened, when we become more spiritually awakened, the more light we tend to shine in those dark crevices in the world, the more that we tend to help others to awaken, help others to shine their light. And through that, we break the generational cycle of pain because light is love, light is truth. And we begin to recreate the generational cycle of love. We aren't so interested in these worldly things. We think about being the richest person or the famous person or having this power, because we know the true power lies within the divine spirit. The true power lies within us to really do wonderful, miraculous things for not only ourselves but for others, to serve, to be that role model, to and which everyone has, I believe. We're all here to play a role. And so I just want to shine light on image. Just because something looks a certain way, if something has that title, doesn't mean that everything else gets thrown out the window, that all the truth, our intuition, we don't listen to ourselves. No, it can't be, because they're famous. They're known for doing all this work. They didn't do that. You must be lying. And often it's because we are refusing to see the truth because we want to uphold an image. And we are not to be fearful of people. The fear, the rightful fear, lies with our Creator. We are not to, and what I've discussed this week, to put our trust in humans, because we know that emotions and feelings can sometimes get the best of us. But the trust in our Creator, and what I say is God. And remember, it doesn't matter what you call it, it's what you believe in. Do you believe in good or evil? And to me, it's as simple as that. But you have your faith in God, that everything you need will show up, that everything you need to bring out the best in you, you will experience, and that everything will work together for good. And so it's looking at the person and say, okay, yes, I see you, but my faith is elsewhere. My faith is in something that controls everything, that is everywhere. And I believe that many of these diseases, these emotional, mental, physical diseases, come from us. Part of it is, believing and trusting and having our faith in people instead of the divine spirit, infinite intelligence in God and Allah, instead of believing that that is where everything comes from. Not humans. Humans didn't make humans. Divine spirit, this infinite intelligence did. And so my hope is with this podcast is not just creating a generational love cycle, but that you will remember who you are. That's why I do, remember who you are on Fridays, as much as possible, is that, if we can remember who we are, then the other stuff will follow. We will return our faith to where it belongs. We will fulfill our divine purpose. We will create a generational love cycle. We will heal from the inside out. We will remember who we are. We will be the light that we are. And so I hope today is a day that you really reflect on this week. If you haven't done so already, I'm about daily reflection. What happened today? And how could I have done that better? What came out of me? What do I need to address within myself? It's not so much of changing other people, because my mother would tell us, you can't change grown folks. Everything that we decide to do must first happen on the inside and then the outside. And so today is that day that we reflect on, what happened this week? What came out of me? Who did I allow to bring stuff out of me? And thankful that I did, because now I'm more aware of my anger, my anxiety, my frustration, my disappointments, my expectations that I have on others, my relationship with my husband, my wife, my friends, relate how I respond to life events. Today is a day to really unravel those beliefs. When you look at your situation, what beliefs do I have? Do I believe I am worthy of a good life? Do I believe I have everything I have to transcend life experiences? Because it is through our beliefs, our faith, that we experience things, that we see things in our life, that we attract things in our lives. So today is a day, for every day actually, to really take out the trash, to really empty out impurities, to really assess the dark spots within us, to bring more light to those areas. So it's through meditation, it's through just sitting peacefully and quietly with yourself. And that's meditation. It's through just really sitting still and allowing yourself to be cleansed, allowing yourself to be there in the moment. And often I'll look out at a tree, because that's what I started out as with a child. I'll look out into nature, because I think that I know that stillness that we see in nature is also the stillness that we can have on the inside, that will carry us through those life storms, that will remind us that no experience defines us. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for listening.